What's up guys, Zenari here, and today we're going to go over a Tirua deck profile, and I wanted to make this deck profile for Lyrical Monasterio drops and changes the deck completely. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I found, things that worked, and hopefully a list that can be fun and enjoyable to those who bought Tirua in Twinkle Melody and wanted to make a deck profile for her. So let's get started. Now on to the grade zeros. We're running 17 grade zeros, and our first one is a V series starter. It could be any starter of your choosing, as long as it's the V series starter to get the extra quick shield when going second and the draw. Next, we're running 4 V heal triggers and 4 Rapping Curtis 30. So it's a critical trigger for a 2019 premium collection and allows you to stride. So it becomes the cost of a grade 3, so you don't have to use any of your combo pieces or extra tiras to stride unless you are playing to stride a progenitor or a Xerath Dragon. Next, we're running 6 draw triggers, so you're running 4 of the grade 0 perfect guards and 2 extra V series draw triggers. In the future, you can run the Lyrical Monasterio one because they're the same power and same shield. So if you just like the art better, you can. But we're running the grade 0 perfect guards to open up our grade 1 space and also to get more hand during our opponent's turn and our turn. That's exactly why we're running the grade 0 perfect guards. And lastly, we're running 1 stand trigger, which is Dreamer Dribble Crook. This stand trigger is obviously restricted to 1, but during GB1, if this unit is in harmony, at the end of the battle, you can put this to the deck, you can shuffle your deck, choose one of your rear guards, return your hand, and call a card for your hand. So she basically allows you to extend your multi-attacks, and this is really helpful for getting harmony conditions for later strides and units in the game. And we are playing, of course, the over trigger from any of the start decks, basically the vanilla Cray Elemental over trigger. So basically, when this unit is drove check or damage check, you can choose a unit, it give 100 million power, and you draw. And if it was on your damage check, you can remove it from the game and you draw a card. Same for when you drive check it, you just remove and draw a card. An additional effect is choose one of your units and it gets 100 million power to the end of turn. So basically, this is when you check it on your drive check, you can get 2 units 100 million power, and this helps greatly with pressuring your opponent, especially in this deck since we're going to be mostly focusing on gift 2, and allows you to just pressure for high numbers, especially if you drive check it. So that's all for the grade zeros. Now on to the grade 1 lineup. We're playing 14 grade 1s, and of course the first grade 1 we're going to talk about is Mermaid Idol Senna. So basically, if there's another unit in the same call as this unit during your turn, she gets 5,000 power, and when she's placed from hand, you look at the top 5 cards from your deck, choose up to a grade 3 from among them, shuffle your deck, and discard a card from your hand. So Senna allows you to search for your Tiras, your other grade 3s, and your combo pieces. She's basically a 13k booster. She scales really nicely, become an 18k booster with some strides in the future now I'm going to talk about. And she's just a all-around good card that you want to have for your deck. Next, we are playing 4 Garland Blossom Anya. So this is a G series card from the very first set of Harmony for G. So this card has Harmony, so when your other unit is placed in the same call as this unit, both units become Harmony to the end of turn, which is very important. And she has 2 other skills. So Rigard Generation Break 1, when this unit becomes in Harmony, choose one of your units, and it's in the end of turn, it gets Auto, Vanguard Rigard, Harmony. So she allows you to give other units the Harmony ability, which is very important. And her last skill is add Caramels 1, rest of this unit, choose all your units in Harmony, the same column or row as this unit, and they get 5,000 power to the end of turn. So she allows you to increase like an extra stage of guarding, which can be important if you want to finish off the game, but not too important to use. She basically just allows you to give units Harmony that don't have Harmony, meaning you don't have to play so many harmony units to achieve the status of harmony for your whole board, and she is very important. So I would play 4 of this in your deck. Next, we play 2 Choo-Choo Cleanse. So when this unit is placed on RC from hand, look at the top 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal to 1 card with Tirua in its card from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. If you put a card from your hand, choose 1 or more cards with the sum of grade 3 or greater from your hand and discard them. So if those of you are coming from V series, this is basically Gear Dog from Gear Chronicle from the V series collection. Yeah, and the second ability is Auto Rigor Circle. Sawboss 1 puts you on the bottom of your deck. At the end of your turn, if you have a Vanguard Tirua in this card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, contrast 1. Now, I'm only running this because I don't actually have the other card at the moment. So instead of running this, I'll run Choo-Choo Sonia. Basically, auto, choose a grade 3 from your hand and discard it. When this unit is placed on RC, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 2 or greater card with Choo-Choo in this card name from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So she allows you to dig for Tirua and another Choo-Choo grade 2, which is very important. And continuous rigor on hand. If your Vanguard is debut stage Tirua, you may put this into your drop zone as a cost of stride. So she's an extra strider, and she allows you to get your other Choo-Choo grade 2s or Tirua. So she increases the consistency of getting her. You don't use a lot of counterblast in this deck, so that's why I'm only running Cleanse right now. I will be getting this in the future, I just haven't. So lastly, on to the most important grade 1 of the deck, Tamed Candace Kataya. So during your turn, if any player's rear guard was returned to hand this turn, this unit gets 5,000 power, and at the end of the battle, that this unit tapped or boosted, if you have Vanguard Tirua in this card name, so watch 1 and return all your regards in the same column as this unit to your hand. So this card, once you ride Tirua or even use the stride Tirua, you're able to just return your entire column to hand for a Soul Boss 1. Now that might not mean much in standard because you have to actually just ride a pretty meh Vanguard, but in premium, well, I'll get to Tirua when we get to that point. She allows you to basically just return any cards you called from Shandi, any cards you called from Lieselot, you call triggers, and most importantly, there's another unit in the deck that you want to keep safe in your hand and not like attacked by your opponent at all. So she just allows you to make Senna numbers because she also gets 3k. I mean 5. She becomes a 13k. Sorry, and she just scales nicely and allows you to do multi-attack plays. This card is actually a very important piece into the deck. So that's why exactly we're playing 4 of her. For the grade 2s, we're playing 11 grade 2s. So first, we're going to talk about another important piece to the deck, Tap Out Aqua. So during your turn, if you have another unit in 10 columns this unit gets 5,000 power. So it's just exactly like Senna. And auto, 1 place on rear guard Vanguard Circle. Return up to 1 of your other normal units on rear guard circle to your hand, and if you return a card, draw a card, and discard a card from your hand. This is a hard one to turn. So with Aqua, of course, you can use her with Lieselot any other normal unit. However, the important part of this card is that she allows you to use Anya twice. So if you place her in the same column as Anya, Anya can give Harmony to Aqua, and then you can return her with Aqua, call Anya, and then call a unit over Anya or Aqua in the same column and give 2 or more units Harmony. So Aqua allows you to get 2 uses of Anya in the same turn once you begin striding or use a G-Guard or whatever. It's actually very important. It allows you to actually run only Anya in the deck for important Harmony turns. So it's a really, really, really good card. And for other strides, if we don't have Anya, we can always fetch it or just play other strides to maximize our damage output. So Top Out Aqua is a very important card for the early game and you just reusing your units. Next, we're gonna have 4 Coco Love Heart Lieselot. So of course the trial deck boss. So Katiwa's hand, it can be called as a grade 1 and auto Vanguard Red Circle. One place, look at the top card of your deck, call it to RC or put it into your soul. This is horrible to turn. So thanks to the grade 1 that supports Tirua from V series, you're able to actually call triggers and you can return the hand on your grade 3 turn. So she allows you to actually get a plus during Tirua turns, and you can do it on your grade 3 turn. It's a turn slower than striding, but it's better than anything else that you can do in premium at the moment. So Lieselot also allows you to refuel your soul. You do use a lot of soul in this deck, especially if you have like one or more of the grade 1 Kataya. And Lieselot is just a very good aggro card, and it just feel it's Lieselot. Lieselot will Aqua. You can call her turn 1 plus to the board. Aqua can return or return the normal unit you need, and you just get all the stuff that you want. So of course we're playing 4 Lieselot. Lastly, for the grade 2s, we're playing 3 Attractive Glow Sandy. So basically this card acts as a heal trigger for the cost of your G Guardian. Now again, since I didn't have all the cards from Prismatic Divas Festa, I want to replace this card with Shushu Linrun. So basically this card is continuous rear circle, Judge Break 1. If you have Vanguard with Shushu in this card name, this unit gets 2 hours of power, and all your grade 2 or greater rear guards with Shushu in their card name get continuous rear guard circle, resist, and boost. So you're probably wondering why this over Sandy. Sandy can allow you to survive more. That's true, you can play either or. However, there are decks that can do a pseudo Denial Griffin play, you know, not just Denial Griffin itself. We have Grand Blue with Skeleton Cannoneer, Pale Moon with Harry, and the grade 1 Perfect Guard, and other decks that can do pseudo Denial Griffin plays. And if you have a tier on Rigor Circle, which is a play, they could just put it back to the deck. So you just say no if this is on the board, and they kind of just have to deal with it. So that's why we're playing 3 of her. But you could opt to play 2 and 1 Sandy just for the extra G-Guard fodder. So with that, that's all for the grade 2s. Now on to the grade 3s and on to the main card of the deck. Choo-Choo Debut Stage Tirua, the V series version. So I'll actually spend some time talking about this card because there's a couple of interesting things I didn't know until I started testing. So auto Vanguard Circle, 1 place, choose any number of normal units on any player's Vanguard Circle, return to hand. If 3 or more cards are returned this turn, this unit gets 15,000 power to in a turn. In auto Vanguard Vanguard Circle, at the end of battle attacked, if 3 or more of any player's rear guards will return to hand this turn, count -1 and discard a card from hand. Stand this unit and it gets -1 drive until the end of the turn. So this card actually has a lot of utility. So first off, the Shushu name. There's actually, well, pretty much only 2 strides that really benefit from this. Of course, is Lapria, that allows you to draw an extra card. She allows you to draw extra cards and allows you to call multiple cards once you have GB2 or greater, I believe, or just more cards face up in the G zone. And Tirua, of course, since she wants Tirua cards on your Rigor Circle that get massive power. But that's not really all, just because of her naming. Like I said, there are other cards that they supported in G series that want Tirua as the Vanguard, and as well as cards that can benefit from being returned to hand as well, not just in V series but G series as well. But I think the most important thing about this card is the first ability. Yeah, the second ability is nice too on turns where you have multiple force 1 markers and you can use strides that return a lot of regards to hand and you can get your multi-attack that way. However, the first ability allows you to clear your opponent's board. You can choose any number. So against decks like Grand Blue, that needs a rearguard circle, that needs a unit on a rearguard circle to use for their denial plays, you return their board back to hand. Or decks that need their rearguard circles to get any amount of shield or any like devastating rearguard effects. So let's say your opponent is playing like the Eagle for Shadow Paladin, for example, you can just return it to hand and they can't use it because they don't have any cards that Superior call during the battle phase. Also, this gets rid of Hanali or any other cards in the future that have like a very polarizing rearguard effect. You can just write Tirua, bounce it back, now they can't use it. The only counter to this for like really Grand Blue is to call a trigger. I mean, sure, you can call a trigger to do it. I'm to stop to do your denial plays, but it really depends on the player. Not most people probably trying to counter it by doing this. Even so, you still had a grade 2 Shushu Lunarune to give resist to your Shushu unit, and specifically Tirua. So anyway, the second effect is used for some of the other strides that returns a lot of rear guards, or it's just good if you persona ride Tirua on your stride turn and then you have another in hand. And oh look, you can do Tirua on the Tirua stride, the rear guard Tirua. So you're getting like 5 attacks or 6, depending if you get a sand trigger or not. And it's a huge rear guard too. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about Tirua. There's probably some more stuff I forgot, but yeah, this card is actually very good and has some utility in premium. I never thought I would say that, but yeah. So let's go on to the last grade 3. So I know this is going to seem weird as to why I would ever even consider playing this card, but hear me out. We're playing 4 Graceful Prayer Ami. Now you're probably wondering, why are you playing a trial deck card? And why is it the 28k attacker? Well, that's precisely the point. It's a 28k attacker, which pretty much all of Bermuda other than Lucio Ange, which Ange is of course restricted to 1, your rear guards don't hit any numbers. And thanks to the grade 1 that supports Tirua from V-Series, I keep forgetting her name, but she allows you to return them to hand in the column to hand, meaning you can call a full board, even triggers, attack with her first, and you can return her column. She basically allows you to reuse a full column over and over and over again and swing with 28k power. Now on a Force 2 marker, that's still pressure because any Vanguard, even with the overdress base power being 13k, that's still at least 20k shield from their hand that they have to guard for it. And there are other strides that can make it even higher, or use other cards that can make it even higher. With the grade 1, you're just able to make solid numbers continuously. Also, if you do end up riding it, it's okay because it has a force marker at 13k shield. Compared to all the other grade 3s I try to make work, this was the only option that we had, and that's saying something. V Premium does not have a lot of cards that are actually like a good rearguard beater. Opting out of Aqua is Senna. This is the only highest beater that we have. Unless, you know, they magically just make Ange back to 4, but I'm not expecting that to happen. Anyway, we're only running 8 grade 3s, and we have enough cards to stride because, you know, we're running Sonya if you're running Tirua for extra stride fodder, and as well as the 30 for more grade 3s, so you can keep Almis or like 2 Almis in your hand, and Tiras for either persona riding into a Tirua or using a progenitor or a Zero Dragon. So that's all for the grade 3s. I'm sorry for some of my words, and now we're going on to the strides. Before going to the strides, we'll be mainly focused on using Force 2. Since Almi is a good card and you want to use it for pressure and beating out your opponent, it's good to have a rearguard circle that has Force 2 on it to just pressure them to either make foolish moves or to just remove cards from hand. So we won't be using Force 1. This is mainly a Force 2 deck. Now on to the strides. Our main finisher and game plan stride is Student Castle President Elk. So I've talked about this card already, but I will still go over it again. So auto, Vanguard Circle, Harmony, of course, and at Counterboss 1, choose a face-down card with the same name as this unit from your G zone and turn it face up. Choose 2 of your rear guards with the Harmony ability, which is important, and return them to your hand. This unit gets auto, Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, choose up to the same number of your rear guards as face-up cards of your G zone plus 1, return them to your hand. Choose 2 cards from your hand and call them to separate rear guard circles. Then continuous GB3, all your units get 5,000 power if they're in Harmony. So, like, this card is mainly your win condition. There's 2 win conditions of the deck, but this is mainly a multi-attack pressuring win condition. You can basically use the Aqua Anya combo to get your Harmony conditions needed. Since if you have both of them, you pretty much could just give your board in Harmony. There's really, it isn't that hard to do. So once you get your board in Harmony, your lanes are increased by 10k, basically, if you're a GB3. And that means, well, your 28k beaters from Amis become 33k, and they're swinging at least twice if you have 1. If you have 2, well, you're swinging 4 times with massive numbers. Now, like I said, there are denial plays that can happen and can ruin your formation or your plays. That's why if you're afraid of the denial plays, you could just play Tirua in that place instead. Which means they can't just deny out a column or do anything like that. And they can't target a grade 2 either unless they have like a defeat flare or something. Now, this card is good because you can't use the first stride and you get your multi-attacks first stride. That means your Almies can still hit 28, but it just doesn't hit to 33, which demands 25k shield or even a G Guardian for your opponent. But it's still a pretty good card that you want to use and to always have as a alternate win con. If you don't have any Anyas, it is completely fine because you have 2 other strides that you can use to close out the game. Next, we're running 3 Shushu popular favorite Tirua. So of course this is a Tirua deck. We gotta have Tirua as a stride. So at once a turn, choose a face-down card of your G zone and turn it face up. This unit gets continuous Vanguard Circle. All units with Shushu in their card names in your front row get 5,000 power for each of your open RC. Then auto Vanguard Circle once a turn. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, choose up to 3 of your rear guards and put them to the bottom of your deck in any order. If you put 3 cards, stand this unit and it gets draw -1. Basically the bread and butter generic restander that Bermuda needed, and thank God it's getting reprinted because this card needed a reprint really badly. Now, like I alluded to earlier, your Shushu cards do get power. However, if you persona ride into Tirua, then you can discard a card to stride or whatever, and you bounce through it more. You can use another grade 3 Tirua from your hand to get a restand. So you get 2 restanding attacking rear guards and vanguards, which is pretty cool. It is an alternate win con though, because there are some decks that just can't take that much pressure, or against a deck that can interact with your opponent like Denial Griffin. Just leave Shushu Lunrun in the back. Linrin in the back, and they can't do anything to both of them. So they just kind of have to just deal with it. And Tirua is going to have a Force 2 marker, either the Vanguard or Rigor Circle. Ideally, you want 2 of them for both of them, and that's why we play Senna, to increase the consistency if that is your win con of the deck. So it is important to choose between which win con you want for the specific matchup. So if you want a multi-attack, go to Alk. If you want high pressured Vanguard or Rigor columns, do the Tirua route. Both of them are fun, and both of them have their ups and downs and pieces that you need. But it's up to you how you want to win and close out the game. Next, we're moving on to the techs. of the strides. So first, we are playing one dearly desired Grand Sage Shani. So she has Harmony on the Vanguard Circle, and she has a continuous skill. If 6 or more units are in Harmony, this unit gets +1 critical for each face-up card in your Gene Zone. Then Auto Vanguard Circle. When it attacks, count -1. Turn a card from your G Zone face up. Look at 10 cards from the top of your deck. Call up to the same number of cards of the number of units in Harmony from among them to RC and shuffle your deck. So, if you have 1 card behind Shani, you can basically call 2 cards. But if you have more units in Harmony, thanks to Aya Aqua, you can search for more cards and dig for more pieces. This is extremely good because you can get your Almis, you can get your Anyas, and you can get any other card that you really need to the board. So, it's a very good stride. I never really used it for the crit because you're already running Force 2. That could be a strategy in the future, but for right now, she's only a stride to dig for pieces. And if you guys are planning on playing Premium Bermuda with the overdress stuff, she might be more important since you can actually like look through more cards in your deck to find specific combo pieces. So that's just an option. Just be mindful that you can't return them to hand, so they might end up being sniped or attacked into, or just targeted for effects. This is why I play, again, the grade 1 that returns all units in the same column to hand, because I get actual plus from it and convert Shani into hand advantage and key pieces I need. So that's why I'm playing Shani for right now as a one of. Next, we're playing one perfect performance Anj. So she only has 1 skill at Vanguard Circle. GB2, Kamos 2, and choose a card for your G Zone and turn it face up. Choose any number of any players regardless in any circle other than Vanguard Circle and return it to hand. This unit gets 5,000 power for each card returned. If the number of cards returned is 5 or more, draw a card. If the number of cards returned is 7 or more, this unit gets +1 drive until the end of turn. Basically, she's a recoup stride. However, you can use her with Tirua if you ever just wanted to do a different play. If you can't really use Tirua as like a game ender, you could use Anj to just recoup, put all your triggers to Tirua and swing twice that way. So you still get your 4 attacks, so you can still trigger Tirua. I just don't think it's very good to go that route, but she's mainly used just for the Link Joker matchup and to just give you advantage when you need to. Because this deck does not draw a lot, and that's why we're playing the 6 draws to ensure that you can get your pieces that you need. And your offense comes from Force 2 anyway, so you should be good in that department of getting critical triggers. You could do Force 2 on Anj and just force them to Perfect Guard, so that's also a strategy too. Now moving on to the last 2 strides, we have Pajero Dragon of Deep Sea Ballerina. So continuous G Zone. This unit cannot be turned by abilities. If this card is face up, you can stride without paying the cost to stride. Then Auto Vanguard Circle, where your opponent's guarding is placed, discard a grade 1 or less card from your hand and retire that rear guard. Now you could also do the Persona play with Tirua. Of course, you have to stride. You have to ride and then stride with her and have another copy somehow. So you need 3 Tirua for the play. But if you do that, you can attack more than just 3 times a turn. But this deck also could get resources decently. So if you have a bunch of grade 1s or grade 0s, you can go into this and just outright pressure your opponent for multiple damage. However, this stride does not work against perfect guards or any cards that says that cannot be hit until the end of battle. So do be mindful of that. There are also times where you just don't have any plays, like not enough CB, but if you have like 2 Almis or 2 Tiras by your grade 3 turn, definitely go into this to save cards for your hand to stride. So yeah, that's why we're playing one Ballerina for the Progenitor Dragon. Lastly, for the strides, we're playing Zero Dragon Deep Sea Megiddo. So To ultimate stride, it's released when the number of face-up cards in your G zone is 3 or more. When it returns to the G zone, remove your G zone. So, just to keep that in mind, you do need to persona stride with the same card. So, auto, Karamos 2, when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may pay a cost. You do choose the 5 cards in total from your hand or drop zone and call in a separate rear guard. And until the end of turn, they get 5 of power and auto. At the end about this unit attack, choose one of your rear guards. You may exchange positions with that, with its position with this unit. Sorry about that. So, well, Megiddo, if you have like a bunch of Almies, yeah, just call them. They're 33k, and you know, on a force 2 marker, swinging like 3 to 4 times with that many Almies, yeah, it's pressuring. However, this is only like a last resort ditch effort to win the game. Of course, there are other strides, but if you don't have enough pieces in your hand and you just drew like a Tirua or an Almi, if you somehow suck on Almi, and if you survive long enough, you can just use this. It's basically a comeback button. Now, if you do somehow not beat them, well, unless you have more Tiras, I don't think you're going to be able to win the game. Because essentially you're going back to V-Series, and V-Series Tira is not that good at the moment. So that is all for the strides. Now on to the G-Guardians. Next, on to the G-Guardians. We're playing 5 of them. And the unit we're going to talk about now is Highest Society Citron. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose up to 1 grade 1 or greater card from your hand and call it to Rear Guard Circle. If you call a card, this unit gets 10 ounces shield until the end of battle. First off, thank God this card is getting reprinted. Since Ellie was banned, this is the only good G-Guard that Bermuda has had with high enough shield that doesn't require a massive hand size. But 2, there's not really that much play they can do with this. You can't call Leaves a Lot to call additional cards. You can't call Aqua to on-place filter, so be like a Gleam, but with higher shield, sort of. But yeah, Citron is a really good G-Guard, and hopefully have some more utility in the future with the overdressed cards arriving. So we're playing 2 Citron. Next, we're playing 1 Blessed Sparkle Sandy. So, auto, Generation Break 1. One place on Guardian Circle, choose a face down G-Guardian for your G-Zone and turn face up. And this unit gets 5 as a shield until the end of the battle for every 2 cards in your hand. Then, Karamos 1, and this unit gets 5 as a shield until the end of battle. Basically, if you have a massive hand size of like 6 or more, this unit could get additional 15k shield, which seems really good. However, you need to be at Generation Break 1. By counterblasting, you get increased the amount of shield you have. And like I said, the grade 1 that allows you to return cards to your hand. Since she returns a whole column, by G-Guarding, you just essentially get an extra 10k shield. So it's very important that you achieve that grade 1 in your hand. But you don't need that many Sandy since Bermuda doesn't have that much insane draw power anymore. So it's still good to have in cases where an attack is too big and you just can't use a Sentinel just yet. So Sandy allows you to act as like a huger PG, sort of, but it's still a good card to have in your deck and for a G-Guard. Next, we are going to have 1 hand-to-hand Leona. So when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose one of your rear guards and you may return it to hand. If you do, choose a card from your hand and call it to Guardian Circle. And if that unit has the same card name as the card returned to your hand with this effect, that unit gets 5 as a shield until the end of battle. Basically, you can return any card you want. So if you call it a trigger and you want to use Leona with it to get more shield, you can. Any units that you want back to your hand, you can have it to your hand. However, you still have to call a card from your hand. It doesn't have to be the same unit, it just has to be a card. So Leona is still a good card. You can make pretty decently high shield numbers. You can get a 30k G-Guard from a V-Series grade 1 and just herself. It's still a good card. I really highly recommend playing it in your deck. And lastly, for the last G guard, we're playing 1 Shishu Cradle Lullaby Milena. So, auto, choose one of your rear guards with Shushu in its card name and put it to the bottom of your deck. When this unit is placed on guard circle, you may pay the cost. If you do countercharge 1, and this unit gets 10 ounces of power, 10 ounces of shield until the end of that battle. So, I'm only playing 1 for right now because there are times where you want to protect Tirua or just any Shushu rear guard like the grade 2. If you need, for some reason, more counterblast. But also choose another 25k shield for hardly any cost other than minusing 1 from the field, which in some cases that's probably a bit too much. However, in the worst case scenario, she's just a 15k shield G guard to turn on GB1. But that's why we're only playing 1. And that is all for the G guards. So all that being said, this is the Tirua deck profile. You could call this Tirua Harmony, but it's mainly just focusing on Tirua with the Harmony engine, mainly of Anya, top out of Aqua, just fulfilling and giving units Harmony. So if you have a V-Series Tirua deck or just V-Series Tirua cards, you can build this deck for relatively cheap. However, I would recommend waiting until Tirua is reprinted in the clan selection, revival selection, and for you to pick up all the cards that you need. So your Crooks, your 1 Anj, and your 3 to 4 Tirua that you would like to have. And for like Auk and stuff like that, get them as soon as possible because they might skyrocket once the new lyrical stuff gets revealed. Same as Shani. But the G guards you should be mostly fine since only Citron's the highest one, and Sandy has been reprinted once, and the other cards are just cheap. So you should be able to build this deck relatively easy and cheap, and have yourself a good time with Shushu. So to all you Tirua fans, I hope I can bring her justice. And next for my premium deck profile, I'm not sure which unit I will do for Bermuda, but it will be relatively soon. So if you enjoyed, I'm happy. Like and subscribe, and I will be doing reveals during the lyrical season, so keep your eyes open for that. And that will be said, I'm Zenarion, and I'm signing off.